Jonathan, just walk away.
Yeah, Jonathan, walk away.
This is Volume 2 of the top 25 headshots across films and TV.
What's that? Is that a paperweight?
Funny you should say that. You see, this gun's only got 2 bullets, so I'm not going to f about illustrating its significance. You're going to have to trust me on that.
Tony.
Kicking off this list, we've got Rosalind proving that Mickey's not the only Pearson who can bite. Get it? Because it's a pun on person? No? Anyway, the point is, a lady's got this covered. Dry Eye really thought he could waltz into her space, flash that creepy grin, and have his way. Yeah, that was a big mistake, my guy.
Listen to me. You take 1 step forward, it'll be the last step you ever take.
Tony, get on it.
What he didn't expect was that sleek little gold pistol that she keeps on hand, and man did she use it well or what. 1 clean headshot and his henchman is down before he even knows what hit him. What makes this extra satisfying is the look on Dry Eye's face, as if he just realised he wasn't the only one with surprises.
I'm leaving.
Sure, he lives to cause more chaos a few minutes before Mickey takes out the trash for good, but this moment belonged entirely to Rosalind. It's stylish, sudden, and the perfect reminder that behind every sharply dressed gangster, sometimes there's a sassy woman ready to hold her own as well.
Hello, babe.
You're way too far away.
At number 24, we've got Harry proving that when he says something, he sure as heck means it, even if it makes 0 sense. The guy has been raging through Bruges like Godzilla in any part of Japan, desperate to get Ray. But when he shoots the dwarf Jimmy, mistaking him for a kid thanks to that ridiculous school uniform, his entire moral compass snaps back on him. And here's the kicker. Instead of running or hiding, Harry decides the only way forward is, straight upstairs. Yeah, he turns the gun on himself and blows his brains out right there. It's brutal, sudden, and somehow so very characteristic of the movie. Yeah, In Bruges is a mix of dark comedy and tragic irony. The same dude who caused carnage across the film somehow redeems his twisted code of honor in a single second. You don't clap and you don't cheer either. You just sit there stunned, wondering if that was the most principled headshot in the history of cinema.
Hello, Mr. Pocket.
Up next is a scene from the Ballad of Buster Scruggs that we haven't spoken about enough. This is a different kind of Uno reverse, as the prospector turns it around on the dude who thought he could reap the fruits of someone else's labour. Yeah, it's the very definition of, yo, hurry up and call an ambulance, but not for me.
Call an ambulance! Call an ambulance! But not for me!
The turnaround was pretty quick because for a second I thought the old man was a goner. Luckily, he managed to turn it around and get rid of the sneaky thief by doing what any other survivor would have done in such a situation. I felt such a sense of relief when he didn't die, because literally every main character of each story had died till this one. In a sense, this was the first time I felt liberated after a story ended in this film. Now we learn that you don't mess with a Montana as long as he's not French. Yeah, that dude ironically became the very opposite of his biggest song, Unforgettable. Anyway, Tony Montana is different, and if you try to threaten him with a chainsaw, well, he's gonna shoot you in the head in front of a live audience. It's a quick reversal of fortunes because our man was pretty much gone, but then his backup arrived and he could go back to being the main character. Al Pacino's face says it all here. He made sure to follow that dude because he wasn't going to let him off the hook at all. What I also love is the fact that Tony doesn't shoot him from behind. He actually takes the time to make sure he sees him before gunning him down. I mean, that's pretty savage stuff, right? Oh, and here's a fun fact for the movie nerds. When the Colombian is holding the chainsaw to Tony's face and asking where the money is, he calls him Scarface in Spanish. Surprisingly enough, it's the only time in the entire movie that Tony is referenced by the title of the film. Yeah, I didn't believe it either, but that's facts.
Get on your knees and sign.
More.
So I had to find someone bigger than you.
In at number 21 is a brilliant finale that pleased us all. Peaky Blinders has been one of the best TV shows to have come out post the 2000s, and I'd say it's actually a lot more consistent than Game of Thrones, because its ending was still acceptable. Anyway, I digress, that's something different. Let's enjoy Mr. Luca Changretta getting his head blown off. Alright, it's not as gory as that, but the impact felt pretty much the same. Tommy played yet another masterclass in fooling Luca, because everything leading up to this moment was pure brilliance, with Arthur faking his death being the ultimate play. The man was like, hey buddy, I'm alive, but it's too bad you shall die. It kind of reminds me of that hilarious Mortal Kombat line.
Brother, you're alive. Too bad you will die.
But yeah, the strategy is what outdoes the headshot to me. This was a great display of how Tommy made Luca think he was backed into a corner. The Shelby family's boss was able to think outside the box and landed a perfect execution on losing the battle to win the war. Next up is a man who counters what he sees. Roy may have had to witness the dude next to him getting a headshot, but that doesn't mean he's going to meet the same fate. The headshot actually gets done right at the beginning, but it still feels quite powerful and impactful, because this is what puts the fear of God into Roy. Sure, he's the main character, but he's not supposed to know that, so the sudden realization is that he's going to be next is what puts him in fight or flight mode. The struggle that follows afterwards is definitely the more intense sequence, but this could only happen because of the trigger that set off Roy's survival instincts. Of course, I'm not trying to disregard the poor dude who had his brains spilled out everywhere, but come on man, the guy's only purpose in the movie was to die quickly. It's not even like they got some special kind of cameo for this role like Deadpool 2 got Brad Pitt. Now that would have made me talk about the victim some more. In at number 19 is a masterclass in intensity. Denis Villeneuve is a modern day great with all kinds of films proving his versatility. 2013's Prisoners is one such example of his excellence, and the headshot in question comes after an extremely intense session where the actors and the background score were everything. Detective Loki has had enough of Bob and his mazes, so he decides to resort to violence, which definitely isn't a good thing to be caught on camera. In the ensuing chaos, Bob draws a gun and decides, I'm done with this BS, see you fellas. Of course, it's a lot sadder and messed up in the context of the movie, and it even hits harder when Loki realizes this would have never have happened if he just kept his cool. Funnily enough, I couldn't stop thinking about Jake Gyllenhaal as the God of Mischief in the MCU after hearing his character's name. I guess the best Kevin Feige could do for him was a deceptive Mysterio.
Bob, put the gun there! Bob, no!
What was the name of the farm next to the Hill House?
I can't remember.
Who are you?
I'm Noah.
Up next is a chilling consequence of lying. I don't need to tell you how amazing an actor Daniel Day-Lewis is, but I do need to tell you that Daniel Plainview is one of the most eerie characters in the history of cinema. This is because he's just a normal man with no powers or even specific combat skills. He's just a dude that'll take you out if his mood says so. After finding out that Henry is actually an imposter, Daniel wastes no time in wasting him with a headshot that doesn't cause instant death. Yeah, from the looks of it, he may have hit the tip of Henry's skull, intending for him to bleed out. Like, we can see him moving after the shot, so it's a pretty psychotic kill. Man, the way he stares at the body after what he just did is what creeps me out the most.
Daniel, I'm your friend. I'm not trying to hurt you. Just survive.
How do I look? Deadly.
Okay, now we have a scene that should have been in the music video for Die With A Smile. Not that I'm saying that Lady Gaga and Bruno Mars advocate such stuff, but come on fellas. You can evidently see George Cornell giving us a bit of a smirk before falling. Anyway, Tom Hardy does what he does best by entering a pub and shooting his enemy with no explanation or reasoning, just plain sass. It's the kind of aura farming that went missing from cinema a while until the likes of Jack Reacher became popular amongst the masses. Ron really got into his element here, and everything about this series of events is masterful, even though it only lasts for a few seconds. I guess George never even dreamt that the cat would drag in a bullet to his head, eh?
Well, look what a cat dragged in.
Did it upset you, the dog?
Yes, it did.
Did you cry?
Yes, I did.
That's nice. And when you read about what your fellow priest did to all those poor children down all those years, did you cry then?
No. That's right.
Up next is an unexpected ending for the main character. James was supposed to make it through to the end of the movie, which he technically did, but sadly not alive. His final exchange with Jack was probably the most thought-provoking moment in the entire movie.
Turn your face away, don't look at me!
No! No! Run! Hey, Hal, run!
I'll get shot, Father!
It reminds me of me.
And that's actually saying a lot, because Cavalry was a pretty heavy experience despite having a bit of humour here and there. The most important aspect here is how Jack actually confides in James, but also takes his life with a rather dramatic headshot. I mean, the shot was fine on its own, but that CGI blood may have been a bit too much. Also, I think they should have at least shown Jack pulling the trigger or something to add to the emotional weight of this moment. It does look a bit fake, which is why I couldn't place it beyond this number, to be honest.
¿Por qué tengo que hacer negocio con un hombre que me falta respeto?
Yo no vendí nada. Le pido disculpas si no ofendí. Con mi método de conseguir esta reunión.
Number 15 gives us a time back when Gus Fring could be human. Here, Max's death definitely hit him hard and totally took him by surprise, but I suppose he was still naive at this time because Eladio had already made up his mind about 10 minutes ago. Honestly, this is the only scene where we could see Gus acting like a genuine human with emotions instead of a cold-blooded monster. He genuinely felt fear and sadness after seeing what had happened to Max, and even though the headshot was off screen, it had a much larger impact than any of the scenes before this one. We actually see a neat little parallel here between Gus and Walter White. Their personalities seem to have gone through similar transformations. Also, I know he kills a dude here, but it was nice to see Hector in a healthy state for once. Yeah, this explained a lot about the hatred both he and Gus had towards each other.
You know why I stopped you, sir?
Let me guess. You know what, man?
Wow, this next entry really is a blink and you miss it kind of vibe, but with you missing your life if you blink. 2012 Savages sadly also falls into that kind of category because the movie's largely forgotten nowadays, but I'm not here to roast anyone unnecessarily. The movie's box office performance may have caught a stray here, but this sudden headshot is pretty freaking shocking. Like, it starts off as just another day with a cop pulling over a man for reasons best known to him. The victim also acts as if he knows exactly what's going on, but unfortunately for him, he didn't. We never really expected that shot to happen, but it did, and all of us were like, what on earth just happened? Of course, this was revealed to be the plan all along, but man, that really was some quick work.
I'm game. Just don't plan on it sticking for long. All right?
Wait, you're gonna take that? After all the grief you've given me over cell phone?
Well, that's one of the benefits of being a judge, Mr. Rice. I can pretty much do whatever I want.
At number 13, we learn that cell phones are really dangerous. Nick and Jonas may have thought this was just going to be another day of getting a judge to bend the law for them, but unfortunately for her, the only thing that changed after this conversation was the status of her life. At first, it's all pretty calm and regular business.
So, let me get this straight. You want me to violate his God-given civil rights in the name of some murky sense of the greater good. Is that the gist of it, gentlemen?
But the moment she picks up her phone, her fate was sealed. This one comes as even more of a shocker than the previous entry from Savages, because nowhere is it even implied that something lethal is about to happen. Sure, this isn't a gunshot, but an explosive mobile phone is still a pretty solid method, right? I swear, prank calls these days are getting really out of hand. Well, at least the judge will be a little bit more open-minded now. Okay, that's messed up, okay, but I had to say it.
Hello?
Oh my God. Back out.
What is your major malfunction, numbnuts? Didn't Mommy and Daddy show you enough attention when you were a child?
Up next is an epic scene for the ages from a Stanley Kubrick classic, but then again, pretty much 90% of his movies fall under this category, don't they? Anyway, Private Par's headshot in Full Metal Jacket remains one of the most haunting moments in cinema. The look on Vincent D'Onofrio's face said it all. That alone should have been enough for Sergeant Hartman to back off. I mean, it's never a good idea to call someone numbnuts when they're pointing a freaking loaded gun at you. The headshot doesn't land on Hartman though, it's self-inflicted by Pyle himself, and as a result, he ended up giving Joker some free trauma. Honestly, this scene scared me more than most horror movies did, you know? But yeah, you can see exactly why someone like D'Onofrio can play such memorable characters. Pyle may not be anything like Kingpin, but they do share similar energy in terms of being menacing.
That's what I was thinking. Look, man, oh yeah, if you brought money for all of them, I'll cut you a deal. You can take them all off my hands.
No, I'm going to kill you.
Wait!
Number 11 was actually going to have 2 headshots, but the second dude got saved by a lack of bullets. It's easy to see that David has a certain penchant for killing, and when he gets going, it's hard to stop himself. It's pretty much what happens here too, as he immediately neutralizes the threat of getting killed by pulling an Uno reverse. The shot was pretty clean, but you could see that David was embarrassed as he wasn't able to make out the difference in weight from the empty chamber. Also, the gun dealer didn't really look like a bad guy. He was just trying to be careful, but we all know how that usually ends in such movies, don't we? And yeah, I know that the other guy, Craig I think his name was, is let off at first, but he too bites the dust soon after, although I can't confirm if that was also a headshot. Man, why do people always run in a straight line? Zigzag, dude! Your life literally depended on it.
When we get back to the house, we need to have a meeting.
Kicking off my top 10 is a shot from the top, and yes, the pun is very much intended here. Pierce Brosnan may have had his fun playing with death while he was James Bond, but he runs out of luck as former Prime Minister Adam Lang when he gets shot right after he lands at the airport. Yeah, this definitely felt like a WTF moment, but it's also why it works so well, you know. What's cool is that you can see the assassin in the background while Lang starts discussing meetings. He's just out of focus, but still visible enough for us to know what's going to happen. The killer's supposed to be a bereaved father who doesn't survive long after this, but the impact has already been made.
I'll be cool.
What the? Trip, that's it. I'm cool.
Up next is an act of mercy involving Christian Bale getting shot in the head. This is right towards the end of the movie Harsh Times when Jim gets shot, leading to paralysis. The only way out for him now is death, and he urges Mike to do the right thing, which is basically to end his life. Naturally, that's got to be tough, but the intense exchange between these two ensures that we remain engaged AF.
No, don't you dare take me there. Don't you dare. You put it to my head. You pull the trigger. You step up.
You know, the chemistry between Christian Bale and Freddy Rodriguez in the movie is what made it work, especially in this particular scene. If it wasn't for that, then I don't think this moment would have been as great. It fills us up with anxiety, but it's also a powerful and sad sequence.
You always do stupid shit, I gotta fix it!
Okay.
It's all you want!
Hasn't there been enough killing?
Any last requests?
Yeah, can you shoot him first so I can watch?
What?
In at number 8 is A Couple for the Grave. Justo and Oraeta did have this coming, considering everything that happened thus far, but it's interesting to see how different both these characters act in the face of death. Justo is here pleading for his life, while Oraeta does her makeup so that she can look good even as a corpse. Joe clearly had no issues in doing what he did, but man, the whole scene culminates almost into some kind of romantic ending, as both lovers have found themselves in the same grave. There's no big emotional hurrah or anything like that, or pride in this moment either. The both of them just bumbled and stumbled their way to death. I'd say that's very Fargo-esque.
Are you as low as you can go? I asked if you still feel you got room to fall, or whether this is bottom.
Honestly, if you'd asked me yesterday, I'd have said I couldn't go lower.
Oh, I've been watching.
Next up is a double whammy, which is a Kendrick Lamar level innuendo. Not only is this a second consecutive Fargo entry, it also has 2 simultaneous headshots, with the middleman somehow surviving the ordeal. Yeah, Emmett better thank his lucky stars that Nicky didn't fear any cops, because that woman straight up took out a shotgun. You still gotta hand it to the cop, because that was a perfect shot. It was too bad he was just a microsecond slow, otherwise the whole story would have turned out differently. And yeah, shout out to the background score for elevating this moment even further.
She's got a gun.
Sir, step out the car.
No! She's the one you out of the car. Now! She's the one. I'm harmless. You should, for Christ's sake, shoot her!
You told me she took the kids in the other car. Obedece. Matamos este tipo solo. Sin mujer y sin hijo.
Now we learn that Tony Montana ain't sparing no one. We saw Hector earlier in the list. As luck would have it, here he is again as Alberto. Yeah, Mark Margolis has been around for a while, and for some reason, both these characters always have a bomb by their side when they meet their ends. You know, it's funny that Tony is the one to sign Alberto's death warrant because of morals, because we all know how he is himself. Anyway, it was an epic headshot, and I love how Tony's still hurling insult to Alberto even after he's dead. The man clearly has some unchecked rage, but that's what makes Scarface such an iconic movie.
You die, mother. What do you think I am, huh? What do you think? I tell you, no kids.
Thank you for coming.
My top 5 begins with another absolute shocker. I think you probably understood by now that the shock factor is quite prevalent in today's list, and Helen's death is quite apt in that regard. We're all gearing up for a nice little chat, but the only sound coming from Helen was the destruction of her brain. Nelson was so cold and smooth, it seemed as if this was daily bread and butter. You know, I actually believe that Helen must have been thinking that Marty and Wendy were the ones who were going to get shot here. Yeah, that didn't turn out too well for her. I imagine Saul Goodman wouldn't have been too pleased to see this play out either.
Today is our beginning.
Put your hands on your head.
In this entry, we learn that anyone's patience can wear thin. True Detective Season 1 is the closest to television perfection we've got since Breaking Bad, thanks largely to excellent performances from Woody Harrelson and Matthew McConaughey. In this scene, it's Marty who loses his mind after seeing what Reggie and his partner Duel have been doing to those poor kids. He doesn't care about getting any kind of information from these filthy criminals because there's only so much tolerance he can have towards such unforgivable acts. That headshot was all emotion, and even though it wasn't the smartest move, we can all understand why he did it.
Last chance, fancy pants.
Oh, very well.
Next up, The Horses Catch a Stray. Yeah, Django Unchained may be a great movie, but come on. I'm sure Tarantino could have spared the poor guy. The humans were slave traders, not the horses. Anyway, Dr. King blasting away at the trader and the horse makes this one 2 headshots across 2 different species. The dark background really helps make this feel a bit spookier than it should be, but at the end of the day, we can all get behind the enigmatic Christoph Waltz, who pulls a full 180 on his previous role as Hans Landa in Inglourious Bastards. We really need to see more of him on the big screen.
You gotta be reasonable in a situation like this. Didn't I give you my last apple? Tell you what, boys, take me to the dock in El Paso. I'll get you your freedom.
We have to use guns. Let's use proper guns.
At number 2, we have absolute cinema on TV. We may never get a show as badass as Peaky Blinders, and that's alright, because it deserves to have its own legacy. Now, Season 1 could have ended with some epic violence, but Ada had to come and ruin everything with a peace-driven narrative. As much as I'm not a fan of her character, I'll admit that her actions did lead to lesser bloodshed. Of course, Billy Kimber was never going to play fair, and we ended up losing Danny for good.
Why should all you men die? It should just be them who's caused it.
But man, that sequence was freaking iconic. There's so much happening in the space of those few seconds, and Thomas Shelby emerges from the noise to land a perfect headshot, claiming instant victory. Yeah, that's what we call a boss man.
Hold your guns up! Enough!
Topping our list is a man who decided to be just like Thanos and said, fine, I'll do it myself. I'm not kidding. When Wax and Reese raid a terrorist hideout, things get pretty intense as one would imagine. There are some pretty cool shots all round, but the one that stood out the most was this fellow who thought it would be better to meet his maker than his interrogator. Of course, he wasn't a fan of John Travolta. Either way, it takes a special kind of talent to be able to shock the dude holding a gun to your freaking face. Hope you liked the video. Please subscribe to the TV Regent, and here's another video that I know you're going to enjoy.